Hello everybody. Let us continue our the most beautiful poem, Daffodils, written by the romantic poet William Wordsworth. As you know that this is one of the most celebrated poems of the poet, and he has actually made us know or to realize what the nature is. The critical appreciation of the poem will be discussed in the concluding part. But today, we shall just discuss stanza-wise, and we shall have the interpretation of the lines, each line in each stanza. And as far as first stanza is concerned, let you see that I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills. All of a sudden I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. See, the poem seems to be highly lyrical, and in our concluding part, we shall discuss everything in the part of critical appreciation, or when the poem will be critically appreciated. We shall discuss the background of the poem, the rhyme and the rhythm, the figures of speech used here, and everything else. But first of all, let us see, I wandered lonely as a cloud. See the relevancy of the proper word, wander. You know that when the poet's mind remains in total absorption in nature, basically in the atmosphere of tranquility, or in the atmosphere of calm and quiet, during that time he feels the blessed mood, as it has been described in another poem, Tintern Abbey. So during that time, when he remains within the solitude, tranquil atmosphere, and there is the recall of nature, the poet feels as if he finds the perfect happiness in the state of loneliness, as it has been mentioned in the last stanza. And at that time he feels as if he himself is lost in nature, and as if he realizes the God is within himself. So the term pantheism develops from this aspect of poet's attitude. And the poet himself declares that when he remains in blessed mood, that is his total absorption of nature in the place of, or in the atmosphere of tranquility, the words to write a poem falls just like the showers of rain. So from that we may consider, why did the poet prefer to use the word wander instead of walking or strolling or roaming or moving here and there? And you know that wander implies roaming or to go here and there. In a simple way, we may say that to go here and there without any purpose. So the poet was having no purpose at all, but he was just wandering, he was strolling, he was roaming. He was roaming here, and we know that I wondered, how was he wandering then? The poet was wandering lonely as a cloud. Mark the comparison. He uses here a simile. Later we shall discuss what it is about. But you know that a cloud that floats over the vales or the valleys and the mountains very freely. That means without having any sort of burden. So the reason behind the comparison between the poet himself and the cloud is that he wants to convey us the message that the poet himself was as free, as aimless, or as free and aimless and burdenless, and tense free as the cloud itself that moves here and there. So, like a lonely cloud, he was moving, and as the cloud that floats high over the vales means valleys and the hills or the mountains, exactly. With such a clear, free mind, the poet was just wandering. And at the time of wandering, what had happened? All of a sudden, see the phrase. To have the proper rhythm, he just used here as the phrase. Otherwise, he might have written suddenly or instantly. But all of a sudden, I saw a crowd. See, the strategy to write a poem with the proper phrases. What it is? Suddenly, I saw a crowd. Crowd, where large number of objects or people, they remain together. At that time, it is said to be the crowd. But in case of crowd, we know that as far as the term crowd is concerned, when there is a large congregation, there is a large number of people gathered together. So in that sense, we can say also, this is also in case of personification, we shall discuss later, but let you see that while just wandering freely and aimlessly like a cloud that floats high over the mountains and the hills, he could see a congregation, a collection of daffodils suddenly, and a host. Here, host implies the large in number. A multitude of daffodils could be seen, could be watched or could be seen by the poet, and which were golden in color. So, he says a host of golden daffodils. That means a large number of golden daffodils could be observed by the poet while he was wandering beside a lake, just like a lonely cloud that floats high over valleys and the mountains. See, so the daffodils were golden in color. And as far as daffodils are concerned, you know that these are the bell-shaped flowers with a sweet fragrance and having an attractive look, a fascinating look. So, within these 4 lines, we could know what it is about, that the poet was wandering as freely, as aimlessly, or without any burden as a cloud that floats high over the vales and the hills. And instantly, during that time, he could see a large number of daffodils, and the daffodils were golden in color. Let us now move to the last couplet. Beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. So, where were the daffodils? The daffodils were near the lake. And under the trees. Here beneath implies under. So many trees were beside the lake, and under the trees daffodils were there. And what were the daffodils doing then? The daffodils were fluttering. Fluttering means to move with the light step. So all the daffodils were fluttering or moving to and fro and dancing in the breeze. Breeze means it is the strong wind. Beside the lake, the strong wind was blowing, and the movement of the breeze made the daffodils dance, move to and fro, and it seemed the poet as if the daffodils were dancing. So in that sense, see here how the daffodils have been personified as they have been given the human qualities, the happiness, because the daffodils were dancing happily, keeping pace with the movement of the poet. So in the first stanza, it is nothing else. Just we have to interpret it as the poet was wandering freely and aimlessly like a cloud that floats high over the mountains and the valleys. During that time, the poet could see a large number of daffodils which were golden in color. They were under the trees under the trees and near the lake. And they were moving because of the blow of the wind, and it seemed the poet as if they were dancing. Let us now come to stanza 2. See. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line on the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. See. So as far as stanza 2 is concerned, another simile has been used here, and the poet harmonizes between, or he creates a harmony between the stars and the daffodils. He creates a communion between the earth and the heaven. So, mark how the poet harmonizes the earthly atmosphere along with the heavenly atmosphere. So, the poet has created on the earth an ambience of heaven. What it is? See here, as the stars in the Milky Way, or what we say it is as the, the broad or the band of stars that generally shine during the evening in the sky, exactly the daffodils were also shining. Continuous as the stars that shine. That means as the star, they twinkle or shine or they scintillate continuously in the sky, in the galaxy. The daffodils beside the lake and under the trees were also doing the same. They are also shining. Mark how the poet resembles the shining stars with the shining daffodils. And they stretched in never-ending line. Though it is a matter of exaggeration, it is an overstatement. The poet has overstated. Why? Because the line must have an ending, but it seemed to the poet as if the line formed by the daffodils where on the margin means your border, on the border of the lake is unending, is endless. But how the poet creates here an eternity. The poet says that the line formed by the daffodils beside the lake is eternal. So it is a matter of hyperbole, and 10,000 saw at a glance. The number is of no importance, but the poet could see surely a multitude of daffodils beside the lake, but he has put a number, particular number, 10,000, again to exaggerate, again to overstate it. So hyperbolically the poet says that at a glance means within the blink of the eye. So within the wink of the eye or the blink of the eye, the poet could locate, the poet could see 10,000 daffodils. Actually, he might have seen innumerable daffodils beside the lake instantly, or putting just a cursory glance, or cursory look. Glance means here just to put a short look. So within a short look, you could see a multitude of daffodils. Innumerable daffodils. Large number of daffodils. But he has put the number 10,000. And what were the daffodils doing here? Tossing their heads in sprightly dance. So tossing refers to what it is. It is the movement of the daffodils. As if making the head upward and again to downward. Exactly that we find the dancers at the time of dancing on the stage. So mark how the atmosphere has been described as far or soon after the poet located, saw the daffodils and their activities, how he might have been enchanted, how he might have been fascinated by them. So tossing their heads in sprightly dance. Sprightly may have the meaning like what? Lively. But here we may also interpret it as energetically. So all the dancers, while dancing on the stage, how they put their energy in order to have a perfect performance. So, see here, Aditya poet creates here the rendition of the dance of the daffodils beside the lake, and how it is so lively and how energetically all the daffodils were dancing beside the lake. So, it is the most beautiful way of description of nature, and how the poet has described all these lines with the relevancy of the words. So, today, this is all, because we have discussed 2 stanzas. In the next part, we shall discuss the other stanzas or the other 2 stanzas of the poem. Thank you.